Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm sitting in a taller chair.
Yeah, we're upgrading the studio as
slowly but surely.
By studio, I mean
your basement.
Yeah, we're in the basement. It's a half basement.
We're in a very nicely decorated corner of your basement.
Yeah, this is I think it's called a modified split level.
Okay.
So half of this is underground. None of you care about this. Is not the content you're here for, but half of this basement is underground. Half of it is not.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's very important apparently. Yeah. By the way, welcome to the Jedi Enclave Jedi Enclave Presents Now. This is Podcasting Podcast.
There we go.
Which is a podcast about Star Wars and other sci-fi fantasy adjacent things that we enjoy talking about.
Recently, it's been a lot of Star Wars.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of Star Wars shit going on.
Star Wars happening.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of which, we're talking about some Star Wars news today. There was a stunning conclusion to the Disney Proxy Battle. There's news apparently on the KOTOR Remake. I've prepared hopefully a succinct Star Wars High Republic book report.
Okay.
Because I've read four of those books in the last week or week and a half.
That's a lot of reading.
Yeah. I'm a voracious reader. Also, a lot of them were audiobooks, which actually, ironically, like those narrators read slower than I actually read. So it ends up taking more time. However, I don't need both my hands. So
you can play Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, or whatever, or go to the scheduled circle jerk, or it's very nice. And then today, of course, was 2-episode run of Bad Batch.
2 episodes spectacular.
Yeah, 10 and 11. I've been so busy today. I don't have any notes on the episode.
Oh, good.
So we'll see if
we'll do it live.
Yeah, we'll see by then if because someone somewhere, a brave soul somewhere, puts up plot line for plot line everything on Wikipedia, and they did episode 10. And when I checked, they hadn't done episode 11 yet, and I was trying very hard.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
I know. I was trying real hard not to get mad at them though. Get that fucking. Thank you. But
do my work for me.
Yeah. If you're here on the official release of our podcast, which happens on Saturday at the moment, that's how we make ourselves marketable and discoverable. Is we change the schedule of our podcast a lot, and it actually helps a lot. If you want to jump around to different topics in the conversation today, there are time codes in the description. And thank you to Connor at the Star Wars Hub and Star Veritas, who is great and is, I think, tomorrow our video on Leslie Headland and Harvey Weinstein is going to be on the Star Wars Hub network as well. So that
I'm sure that will have lots of fruitful discussion.
Sure. Yeah, I mentioned the last time I don't end up seeing a lot of the bonehead comments because our mods will hide them and stuff. But I usually see the nice ones, and it's oh, this is all that exists.
Isn't the internet wonderful?
Just the real nice ones.
Just the people who are complimentary and polite and well groomed.
Yeah. I was talking to someone. I can't remember if it was during our one of our Battlefront streams, but that this weird that part of the Star Wars fandom thinks that they're the majority of the opinion, and it's no, you're the only one childish enough to be belligerent on social media.
Yeah,
the rest of us don't go.
You're not the majority. You're just loud.
Yeah, you're just a child. Speaking of which, if you're here on a child, please click like and subscribe, share.
Did you say if you're here on a child?
No, I hope I didn't say that. At least I hope you're not on a child.
I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
I thought I said speaking of, I don't know.
You know what? Just like, comment, subscribe.
Don't question, just click.
Do the other things on the other platforms. And
I think there's a bell somewhere you're supposed to ring.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. And then we're on Discord. The link to that is in the description. In fact, if you're on Discord, you get a special look at the behind the scenes content of me not knowing how the fuck anything works and trying to figure out how the cameras work. It's fucking great. After this, I don't think we're doing Battlefront. It depends on who.
We'll play some sort of video.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Lego Star Wars. I didn't check to see. I know that there's at least one other member of Gremlin Squad who's around. I'm not really sure how that's going to work. But it'll happen at 7 right after this. And then Gungans and Dragons will be Sunday at 7. That's our tabletop Star Wars RPG that has been really kind of heating up in the last couple of episodes. We're going toward I think a really exciting conclusion.
Thrilling conclusion.
Yeah. In fact, there was like a little bit last week when we were doing it where like we were like, I don't know where the conversation just went to battle plans. And I heard that music from Lord of the Rings. Like, I think when like Theoden decides to go help Gondor, I think, or something. I don't know what the musical theme is.
Gondor calls for aid.
Yeah, but it's...
And Rohan will answer.
Yeah, it's like that's... it's like... Or that in Avengers Endgame, when everyone's coming out of the portals and shit, it's like, yeah, that's going to be us. Did I get everything? I will be reading. I hope so. Yeah, I'll be reading chats throughout, so feel free to say hi in the chat. And between the segments, I'll try to read them. I will be reading some comments about the Bad Batch episodes today. I posted about it earlier on Facebook, so that's a good way to, if you really want to hear your name on a stream with 910 followers, that's how you fucking do it.
Yeah.
If that's what you're living for, first of all, I'm so sorry. Second of all, I'm happy to make you not even close to internet famous.
Can we talk about something relevant now?
Yeah. Well, this is, I don't know if it's irrelevant. It's kind of over now. But so we were talking last week, and I think maybe even the week before, about how there was a proxy battle happening at Disney.
Yes.
And I've learned more about it a little bit. So spoiler alert, it's over at Disney One.
Yes.
And by Disney One, I mean the Bob Iger part of
the
Disney.
establishment of Disney.
Yeah.
We should also reiterate there were no good guys here.
Yeah.
That there's asshole billionaires on one side, there's asshole billionaires on the other side.
Swinging their dicks at each other.
It does not matter.
And missing.
Yes.
Because they're inept at everything.
Yeah.
The only thing special
that's
about them
that's
is
why
they're
billionaires.
Yes. So yeah, all of them can fuck off. But it's like that bit in Rise of Skywalker where a movie I do not necessarily enjoy, but there's a great line from Hux in that, who is like, I don't want you to win, I just need Kylo Ren to lose. And that's how I felt about Nelson Peltz, because this dude is such a cock that I couldn't okay, so I started digging into this a little bit, and he's kind of masquerading under this whole, I'm going to be the anti-woke, blah, 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 which we talked about.
If he knew who Star Wars Theory was, he would subscribe to Star Wars Theory.
And that's, from what I'm reading, the whole thing might actually be just because he has a huge beef with Kevin Feige.
Okay.
Because when Ike Perlman was like, if you're not following the ins and outs of corporate Disney, that's fine. I didn't know all this shit before I read it anyway. But when Nelson Peltz was involved in Disney, first of all, he has shoved his daughter into movies where they didn't need her, in one of the Transformers movies, which, by the way, that his daughter's character in the Transformers movie was to confirm what the age of consent laws were in different, there's an age of consent joke, running gag. Ooh. And it's real gross.
Ooh.
But anyway, so apparently when he was there, he was trying really hard to get Kevin Feige fired because I guess they don't get along. And they're like, no, he's the most, arguably the most successful producer that's ever lived.
He's really fucking good at his job.
And also has produced, if you go dollar for dollar, he's produced movies that have made the most out of cinema, all cinema on the planet. Fucking Avengers Endgame. All these multi-billion-dollar, films and shit. So they're like, no, we're not firing Kevin Feige. He's doing fine. And he's like, well, fuck you. I guess I'll start a proxy battle. I don't know if that's the exact
I will
reason.
take over Disney, and then no one can tell me to not fire Kevin Feige.
What was really funny about this is that I guess was it yesterday or the day before? The tech bro with the smallest penis, Elon Musk, weighed in,
of course,
and was like, "Yeah, go Nelson Peltz." And then today they had their vote. Nelson Peltz and his friends lost.
Yes.
This was at the urging, by the way, of George Lucas. George Lucas weighed in on this and was like, "Hey guys,
Bob Iger's pretty smart.
Yeah, well,
Let's
actually,
go with him.
Yeah, it's for him. It was all about he's the one that will make the most money, right?
Which is what shareholders care about. That's
Right.
why they're shareholders in Disney. It's because Disney makes the money.
Anyway, well, like we said, they're all billionaires. They're all terrible, and they should all eat shit and die in a fire.
This doesn't really mean anything to you, the average person, other than Disney's going to keep doing what they've been doing.
Yeah, unless you own a bunch of shares in Disney, which, by the way, I think stock in Disney dropped today. And I know
I thought it went up.
Closing, I don't think. So I think analysts were saying that it was going to go down regardless of who won. That it wasn't the winner that was going to move the stock. It was the fact they were having a fight at all.
Yeah.
Because it kind of like, the instability of it or whatever. Are you looking now? Well, when I looked earlier, it was down like 0.6% or something.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Whatever.
So it doesn't matter. It's also like, unless you have a bunch of shares in Disney, I don't understand. People are like, oh, the stock market's doing really well. And it's like, that's great for fucking billionaires.
Yeah.
Like, is that great for you? Like, did your personal wealth increase at all? Unless you have stock in said company? Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about something that actually matters.
Let's talk about a couple of other dickheads.
Okay.
Benioff and Weiss.
All right.
So, Three Body Problem has hit Netflix. I think the people are like watching it, and so they're doing press rounds and stuff. And the law of nature is you do a press run for something. If you're ever at all even tangentially related to Star Wars, you're going to get asked about it.
Hey, let's talk about Star Wars.
So people have been asking them, because you might remember that back in the day,
they were hired to do a trilogy, and then they were fired like a year later.
Yeah. So that I guess they kind of went in a little bit more. Like, apparently they got pretty far into development. Mm-hmm. They developed a roadmap for like most of the trilogy.
I think they had written most of the first movie and had like outlines of the next two.
Yes. The first film was going to be called The First Jedi, and was going to be a like what it sounds.
Jedi origin story.
Yeah. And then what's funny is that they're like, oh, we didn't get fired. Like we didn't get fired. They rejected our story, and then we stormed out.
Disney decided to go in a different direction.
Yeah. Which you got fired because you bungled Game of Thrones. Let's not fucking lie. I'm sorry. That's just what happened. I guess that is just kind of a theory, but it was. The coincidence would be pretty rich. Like, because you know how we are about needlessly hating stuff, and I'm not still every night very angry about Game of Thrones.
It's just every time you remember it, you're just, that kind of sucks.
It's just every time I think of Benioff and Weiss, I'm like, oh, those fucking guys.
Which is not every day.
Yeah. So like the end of that, I think even we will say that like a majority of Game of Thrones fans were very displeased with how the show ended. In fact, a lot of them were displeased about how the last couple of seasons were going. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I guess by coincidence, Disney is like, oh, they don't work here anymore.
we don't know.
We don't know them. Yeah. So I guess we get to know more about what never was. And who knows? That might have been. I don't know. Have you watched Three Body Problem yet?
No.
It's good.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessarily just because of them. Rian Johnson's involved with it too. And the second all of these like dumbasses on the internet find that out, they'll go from loving it to hating it. But it's pretty good. KOTOR Remake.
Yeah. So you might remember a couple years ago, it was a Knights of the Old Republic remake was announced with a really flashy trailer with Revan swinging a lightsaber around.
I think you just stood there.
And then we heard nothing about it for like years.
Yeah.
Except that studios had closed and the project moved, and then another studio closed and the project moved again. Mm-hmm. It is currently being developed at Saber Interactive, whose CEO had an interview with IGN and said, yeah, it's alive and well. We're still working on it. Don't have anything to show right now. Of course, we've been working on it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which is what he has to say, regardless of how it's actually going.
This is one of those, like, you know how Rogue Squadron was like, oh, it's not happening. Oh, it's happening. It feels a little bit like that. Yeah. I thought it was really funny that originally the studio that was supposed to be doing this remake was the same one that bungled the fucking Battlefront, the Battlefront Classic launch a couple weeks ago. So I don't know that's one of those things where it's like, I'll believe it when I'm sitting in my chair playing it.
Yeah.
And then if it works, I won't freak out. Like if the game actually works. Real quick. Michael Anthony says, what's the topic today? Well, Star Wars news.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about some High Republic stuff. Oh, speaking of High Republic stuff, Daphne Keane, there were a couple of exclusive images of Daphne Keane as her Jedi Padawan character in The Acolyte. And I posted about it, and of course, all the neckbeards have come out and like, oh, sucks. And it's like, motherfucker, you haven't even seen that. Like, you don't know what it is. Yeah. So she was in Logan. Was the Wolverine clone, I think, and then she was super fucking good in that movie. She was great. Yeah, it looks good. And then we're gonna talk about Bad Batch
eventually.
Yeah. Nate says, "Sup, Jedi / Chris."
Hello there.
Classic question mark. What are we playing today? We're playing nothing right now. This is not a video game, but we will be at 7 tonight. Mm-hmm. And then he says, new movies out. And then Kong. I've not seen Kong. I've heard actually that it was really good though, which doesn't surprise me because like the King Kong movies have been like pretty neat. I think there's like an Apple original. I think it's on Apple. Like a show about it. I haven't been interested. I'm not a diehard King Kong fan.
Yeah.
So it's not like I fucking have to see that. I
don't really care.
Yeah, but like when it comes out, I'll watch it, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it by what I've read. And then that's all for now. Okay.
Tell me about the High Republic.
Okay. So I have been reading Star Wars: The High Republic books like fucking crazy the last couple of weeks. Really, it's been the last week and a half. And
because you gotta know everything about the High Republic before fucking Acolyte,
which is in June. Mm-hmm. So I've like someone somewhere wrote an article about the reading order and like because like they have like 3 different phases out now. They're like 18 or 20 books or something.
That's a lot.
And a bunch of comic books.
That's way more than I thought.
I know. That's why I started reading a whole bunch because like I have to get through this. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the books I read, a little bit about what they were about. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it. But because I remember when some of these came out, like I read like the first one, but then for some reason I didn't follow up. I think it's because there's other stuff happening. But so far they're pretty solid, and I appreciate that they are like they're only like 1 or 2 characters that show up that we even know from the Star Wars universe. One of them is Yoda because he's been around for fucking ever, and like I think Yariel Poof is in like has like a voice line, and then Tara Sinube is in one of them, who you might remember as, first of all, one of the Jedi whose corpse is preserved in the Inquisitor base, but also in a really good episode of the Clone Wars with Ahsoka. He's got the walking stick that turns into a lightsaber.
That guy.
So he's around, and I guess not as old or as dead as he is in like Obi-Wan. So the first book that ever came out was Light of the Jedi. I'm going to like some new Jedi throughout these books. This is the thing I love about this, and particularly this book, is that like this is the Jedi. Like, everyone is like, oh, it's the Jedi at their peak, and it really is in 2 parts. Where it is the Jedi as an organization at the peak of their arrogance, which is we can and will fix everything. Yeah. But also the peak of the individual Jedi's power, and I think it's really interesting that throughout all the Jedi individually are heroic, selfless, most of them. Yeah. And they want to do the right thing. But the Jedi as an organization is a little bit different than that, right? Yeah. So this introduces Avar Kriss, who's a Jedi Master, Elzar Mann, Stellan Gios, Bel Zettifar, Loden Greatstorm, by the way, fucking kick-ass name, Loden Greatstorm. Okay. Who's this is the other cool thing about this series is that they've had an artist doing like renderings of all these characters, which is good because there are a lot of characters in all these books. And so like I was listening to one of the audiobooks and I was like, wait, which one is that?
Who the fuck is that guy?
So I went and Googled it and I was like, oh, there's a picture of him. And Loden Greatstorm is this fucking Twi'lek Jedi with these majestic fucking head tails he doesn't have anymore because they got cut off. With the fucking gold, all the Jedi wear like cream white colored robes and gold shit. Like they really are like, they're so full of shit. They just don't realize it. So this is what kicks off the whole thing.
Okay.
hyperspace breaks.
Oh, that seems really bad.
There's a great disaster where a ship blows up or something in hyperspace, and pieces of it hurl through the galaxy in hyperspace, crash into shit. A bunch of people die, and this whole first book is about the Jedi mobilizing to try to save the people they can and rescue the people. And it's the whole thing is we are selfless servants of the light. Let's go save everyone's life. And it's a neat it's a neat if you're a big fan of the Jedi, it's Jedi doing Jedi things, and you're like, yeah. And the visuals, it's like some of the there's a Jedi with a crossguard lightsaber and shit. Like it's
cool.
So the second book was Star Wars: Test of Courage, which is a YA thing. It took me like 2 hours to read, but still pretty neat. And the thing that I thought was cool about this is that introduces the character of Venestra Rowe, who is one of the Jedi in the Acolyte trailer.
Oh,
so there's that one part where there's like a green chick that walks through the door. She like does the Force and that's her.
Oh, okay.
And the cool thing about her is that she has a lightsaber that when you press a button, it turns into a whip.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, that's pretty neat. And then like a couple of other characters, and this pretty much they get lost in a jungle. And they have to problem solve in their shenanigans, and then they get away, right? Then Into the Dark, Star Wars Into the Dark. The thing that's interesting about this one, aside from all the Jedi being Jedi, is that there's a crazy connection to Snoke in this one. So they discover this race of like plant things that are like malevolent and like want to kill things, and so. Like these Jedi. Also, one of the Jedi in this group is a Jedi Wayseeker. So like, she's like, I don't want to listen to the council anymore. Fuck off. And she just goes and does her own thing. Yeah. So like, a group of these Jedi go together on a mission, right? And like, they're in hyperspace. And they look out the window, and they see part of a burning ship flying through hyperspace. And they're like,
"Holy shit!"
And then hyperspace turns purple. Oh, they're like, what? What is happening?
That seems bad.
So they get a distress call from a space station nearby, and they like kind of crash into that system anyway. So they're like, I guess we'll go help them.
Yeah.
And they discover these plant things, but the station, you might remember that in The Rise of Kylo Ren, Snoke is hanging out before Luke's Jedi temple. Yeah,
he's that fucking greenhouse or whatever.
That's the base.
Oh,
like that kind of base. Because you might remember that it is exactly like a greenhouse station, right?
He's just watering his plants when Kylo Ren is like, I killed everybody. It's so sad.
He's like, not everybody.
And also maybe not you, but we won't go there.
Yeah. Maybe those plants were the evil things, but they also have like these weird talismans they find and shit. But anyway, at the end, I forgot to mention before we move on from this, the big bad of this series is Marchion Ro, who is like the head of the Nihils, right? Who are pretty much what is that house from Game of Thrones? The Ironborn.
Not everything has to be about Game of Thrones, Daniel.
Not with that attitude. Their whole thing is we will rape and pillage and take everything we want.
Oh, so they're Vikings.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. They all wear fucking face masks. And Marchion Ro at some point gets his hands on a lightsaber. He's like, okay, I kind of like this. Yeah. So I think this one was probably... Is this the one that I really liked? Yes, this is the one that I liked because the Republic, which is doing so very well, is having a Republic fair. Big fair on a planet, everyone's going.
Sure, yeah.
Ton of millions of beings. And the Nihil are like, let's do a 9/11. And then they do a 9/11.
Oh no.
And they're killing innocents and everywhere. Like there aren't a ton of Jedi there. And so like the whole thing is this like the survival story while raping, pillaging, marauding, fucking crazy people are running around with their masks and clubs, like trying to hit everything. And then like a message gets out to the Jedi and they're like, oh, we'll be right there. And so like a ton of fucking Jedi show up and they're like, okay, well, I guess we're fucked. And by the way, I'm leaving out so many plots. Like yes. I could go through and explain the plots of every one of these and take like 4 hours, right? We're not going to
Please don't.
Yeah, we're not. We're almost done. It's just that it's like I read 4 of these books. You guys are going to hear about it, and then the next 4 I'll probably tell you about it as well. I think really the important thing so far that I think is going to connect is Ro, the Jedi, who's obviously in the show. Yeah. And like also the ethos of the Jedi, this like they really are at a point where they can't imagine that they aren't right in every single scenario, and that they are the arbiters of peace and own the Force. Like it's that whole thing that Luke was talking about at the Last Jedi about. He's the Force is not a thing that we fucking own. These guys think the Force is a thing that they own, but they're all individually mostly really cool guys. Like they're all, there are 2 gay characters in this one. The Chancellor's son, who's almost assassinated, and like some other mayor's son. Okay. Like while this whole 9/11 is happening, they're like, we might die. You want to kiss? And he's like, okay,
that's cute.
And then there's one Jedi that has a fucking dog that's always on fire. Because
fire dog.
Because it wants to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his name's Ember. And nice. I think he's my favorite. He's pretty cool. So anyway, those are all the books I read. Now you know. What do I remember from them? I will say that they tied this into Jedi Survivor a little bit. Okay. Have you played through that game yet?
Not yet.
Have you seen the cutscenes?
No.
Okay. Would you fucking do that? You're a Star Wars fan.
I'm working on it.
There is a flashback where a couple of Jedi from that era are building a Jedi Academy on Tanalorr, which is like the hidden planet. And then the Nihil show up. But you can tell that when the people in the game, the people who were making the game didn't know what it was. So in the closed caption, I think he's like, oh no, Marauders are here or something. And in the closed caption, it says, oh no, Marauders, parentheticals, Nihil are here. So like after the fact, they're like, oh, those are Nihil. Right, they're like, you didn't fucking tell me that. So yeah. So, okay, there. Now you know about the things I know about, at least so far. Hopefully I'll know other things later.
We can only hope.
Yeah, let me, never mind. Okay.
Is it Bad Batch time?
Yeah, let's do Bad Batch.
Okay.
Non-spoilers first.
I thought these were 2 of the weeker episodes.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I was really disappointed by the Asajj Ventress episode, because we didn't really get anywhere story-wise. I mean, we learned, they used her as an exposition vehicle.
Sure.
Which I'm like, it's fucking Asajj Ventress. She has a yellow lightsaber, for fuck's sake. Let her do something cool instead of just beating the shit out of Wrecker, which actually was kind of cool. I always end up appreciating, like, you have an episode of the Bad Batch where the Bad Batch doesn't appear at all. It's just on Mount Tantus. Yeah. I end up liking those episodes because the tone is way different. Like even in the bit, like everything is real hushed and quiet because it like you got to be able to talk in your creepy voice, and you can't do that if you're loud.
The soundtrack is always a lot different on Mount Tantus.
Yeah. Yes.
It's weird and electronic and kind of whispery.
Yeah. And it's like everyone's like too afraid to say anything. There's probably someone like around the corner that's ready to be like, shh. like if you get too loud.
We're doing science here.
And then the second one was a conflict that I think everyone kind of saw coming. The end and a decision that one of the characters makes also was kind of telegraphed.
Yeah.
One of them has a cool cameo that a lot of people will remember. There are episodes that I liked more than this, but I was like, all right, okay, these aren't bad. So let's talk about we're going into spoilers, by the way. So these episodes just came out today.
Yes.
So if you've not seen any new Bad
there are
Batch,
2 of them.
Yeah.
So like if you didn't have time to watch one episode a week ago, you probably don't have time to watch 2 episodes today. So that's fine. Just catch it on the actual podcast.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it and spoil it and talk about like shit that we noticed and Easter eggs and all that other shit.
So episode 10 is called Identity Crisis. So we open on this city on this like snowy planet. I don't know which one it is.
Some people thought that it was Kijimi from The Rise of Skywalker. I don't think it actually is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't end up mattering that much. So there's a market and this little furry alien is walking around with I'm assuming it's her kid, puts the kid down to go shopping. The kid is fussing and there's some merchant arguing with a customer over there.
See, if this were Game of Thrones, that kid would have died.
Oh, well, they still might.
We're doing a rewatch of Game of Thrones. That's why I'm like, it's like everything I hear, I'm like, oh, what would that happen? What would happen if that happened in Game of Thrones? Yeah. They would die.
Well, tell me, what would happen if a vase mysteriously went flying through the air in Game of Thrones?
I think, I don't know. There's magic-y stuff in Game of Thrones, right? So they've been like, that's fucking cool.
And everyone's like, hey, who the fuck threw that vase?
And then like that person who did the vase would like accidentally get a club dropped on their head and their head would like crack like a melon and then they would be like a close-up of their head and they'd be like, you see how you like this character? Well, now he's fucking dead.
So the people are like, hey, that fucking kid threw the vase. And the vase is bigger than she is. How did she throw it? They're all arguing about it. And the parent comes back and just kind of grabs
I liked how she was like,
God,
stop doing this.
Everyone is whispering about it. And there's this one Biff who's, is it a Biff?
No, it was not. It was a Aqualish.
Aqualish.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Spider Boys.
Yeah. So this Aqualish just kind of watches them walk away and go back to their place. Back at his place, the Aqualish calls up the M Count hotline because that's apparently just a thing that there is.
Fucking neighbor ever, by the way.
He's like, hey, I'm looking for a bounty hunter. I got a tip about a kid. So on Tantus.
By the way, if you're the guy calling in tips about kids, are you on the right side?
You are the bad guy.
Yeah. Come on, man.
So on Tantus, Hemlock is doing weird red science shit. He gets a call from Emery, who's like, yeah, so like progress hasn't been great ever since you locked up Nala Se. Turns out she's the only one who knows how any of this shit works.
Yeah.
Hemlock's like, I don't trust her. She's going to stay in prison and think about what she did.
But who will do the science?
Emery's like, well, do you trust me? Like, give me her job title and I can, do some science things. Hemlock is like, all right, fine. Let me tell you about Project Necromancer.
What was his plan, by the way, otherwise?
I think he was
was he just waiting for her to be like, can I be the chief scientist? Or was he like, I don't know what the fuck to do?
I think he thought they would get Omega back before this. And like they knew Omega works.
Putting a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah. So they go down to the vault and walk through all the red laser walls. And Hemlock is like, all right, so welcome to the vault. That we have some very important specimens here. The specimens are children.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they're all your responsibility, so don't fuck it up.
You're their mom now.
Yes.
Bye.
So these specimens are alien children color coded for your convenience. There's red kid, green kid, and blue kid.
Yes.
So Emery's like, wait, why are they all kids? Like this feels kind of weird. Hemlock is like, 2 reasons.
First, wink, because we're the Empire.
Okay, 3 reasons.
Yeah.
Number 1, we're the bad guys.
Yep.
Number 2, there aren't really all that many adults with high M counts anymore.
Oh, yeah, that was actually really funny.
Order 66?
Yeah, he's like, we don't talk about that, but they're all dead.
Number 3, turns out kids are really easy to manipulate and just do your weird science shit.
By the way, if you're a part of this conversation, how do you hear that and not immediately go, are we the bad guys?
That's the theme of this entire episode. Right. Is Emery slowly discovering we're the bad guys.
Which, by the way, the fact that she hadn't figured it out up until now, it's like, you're a fucking idiot.
So, turns out, like, you can't just make an M count go up. You have to do some weird stuff with substances and stuff. But Nala Se knew that with Omega's blood, she could do some technobabble and just make midichlorians appear, which is why Hemlock needs her because he needs Omega to do the thing.
It's like like her blood can receive midichlorians,
something
and
like
hold on to them or something.
Yeah. So Hemlock gets called away by one of his clone commandos, and Red Kid walks up to Emery and is all cute, and Hemlock knows, and they're like, hey, none of that. You're a specimen. You're not a person. And Emery, you're the scientist in charge of that specimen.
It's like, Emery, I'm going to need you to twirl that mustache a little harder.
Yeah. So Hemlock turns to leave and puts his iPad in the wall thing and types in a code. And Green Kid watches him do this.
Which, by the way, the second they walk in and they show the kids, I'm like, that's the kid that's going to try to escape. Because he just looks like he's generally having a bad day.
Yeah. I mean,
also, he's like 14, 13, 14.
Ish.
Which, if you work with children, you know that age just fucking sucks. So you know that he's either going to try to escape or burn something down.
Yeah. So back on the cold planet, the little furry alien mom and kid are playing around and eating dinner, and there's some footsteps outside the door.
Some jangling spurs.
Yeah, very, very ominous. So the parent moves the kid onto the couch and is about to pick up something and go into the door when the door opens. Oh my God, it's Cad Bane.
Yeah, which I was like, they didn't put him in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was actually like, oh, that's neat.
Yeah. There aren't really any shots of him that wouldn't be spoilers, at least from this episode.
It's a very unique silhouette.
Yeah. So Cad Bane stuns the mom and is like, hey, Toto, fucking get a blood sample from the kid. Somehow Cad Bane still has one of the Jedi midichlorian blood test things.
I think because he's one of the special bounty hunters. I think that the Empire handed him out to some high level bounty hunters.
Okay, I can buy that.
Yeah.
And Toto's like, yep, this kid tests positive. She's got the M count. He's like, great, fucking put her in the box. And Toto jams the kid into this giant metal box.
Yeah.
And the kid's crying.
By the way, they shoot its mom in front of her.
Yeah. Bane's like, hey, shut that fucking kid up.
Yeah. I think they stun the mom.
Yes.
She opens the door and he's like, fuck off. And shoots her. She falls over.
Yeah. Toto's like, I'm not a fucking nanny. What do you want me to do? Just here, have your doll. And the kid's like, oh yeah, I'm happy now. So they lock the kid in the crate and they're walking out and Bane walks past the Aqualish and is like, here, thanks for the tip, and just throws some money at him.
I can't tell. Is he mad that this happened or?
I don't know.
Because he really is here, you fucking traitor. And throw some money at him. I don't think Cad Bane cares that much.
No. He just wants to.
He got paid. He's going to get paid.
He's getting paid. So on Tantus, Emery
he's got to go buy some more big floppy hats.
Yeah. Emery is doing blood science on the kid and on Red Kid specifically. And Emery is trying to use the kid's specimen designation. The kid's like, actually, my name is Eva. You can just call me that instead of SP, whatever. He was like, by the way, what happened to Nala Say? She was kind of cool. Emery's like, she's not in charge anymore. He was like, oh, but she said she was going to find out when me and the other kids could go home.
Well, she shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Because you're never going home.
Emery's like, don't worry about it. I'll go find out. He's like, oh, thank you, Dr. Carr. And Emery goes on to Green Kid, who fucking steals her iPad and runs to the door and tries to unlock it. The scientists who are monitoring this, by the way, immediately press the lockdown button.
They were watching. They're like, he's a teenager. Yeah. He sucks. He's going to try to escape.
So, Emery's trying to calm Green Kid down, and he's like, no, I just want to fucking go home. This place sucks. Door opens. 3 clone commandos are there. And Emery's like, you don't need to shoot him. I'm getting through to him. We're just going to talk this out.
He's a kid.
The clone's like, fuck you. And they stun him.
Yeah, I noticed they were careful not to show him actually getting stunned. I think that might have been a little too much for the kind of show that it was. But it was the way that they shoot it, the way that it happens, it's kind of dark. Because he sees that the door is open behind them and is like, fuck it, I'm shooting my shot, right? And the clone commando is like, this kid's gonna run, and just plugs him. It's like, god damn, dude. Did you ever wonder if you're the one shooting kids, if you're the fucking bad guy?
Emery's like, dude, what the fuck? You didn't need to shoot him. We were talking. And the clone's like, look, I'm just following orders here.
That's the protocol, ma'am.
Yep.
We shoot children.
So Green Kid gets put back in his cell. He's still unconscious, and the droids, are doing their blood science, and Emery's watching all this happen. He was like, hey, is Green Kid going to be okay? And Emery's like, don't worry about it. You'll see him tomorrow.
Someone in the chat said Vader wouldn't have stunned him.
No.
Well, no. Was it Obi-Wan where they just full on snap a kid's neck on screen?
Yeah.
Vader does. He's like, "Fuck you!
Yeah.
I hate kids."
So
And sand. It was yeah.
So Emery goes down to the prison and talks to Nalase about all this, and Nalase is like, "Oh, so you've been down to the vault and you've seen the specimens?" Emery's like, "Yes, I have seen the children," and it's kind of weird that you keep referring all of you keep referring to these children as specimens. Did you plan to get rid of them like you got rid of me? Which is, some little backstory.
Yeah.
There. It's kind of fun. Nalase is like, no, that actually the Empire is going to keep and control them.
Yeah, she does seem like she's got a little bit of a bone to pick with Nalase in the Kaminoans.
I mean, it's like, they don't belong here. Nalase is like, well, no shit, but if I wanted to protect Omega, I had to give the Empire something they thought they could use. And was like, okay, so what about the kids down at the vault? Nalase is like, look, I did what I could, but I'm in here and you're out there, so they're clearly your responsibility now.
Yeah, it's not my problem anymore.
I was like, what the fuck can I do about them? I have no actual power here. And Nalase is like, oh yeah, that must really suck for you, huh?
I mean, you're wearing those fucking cool glasses.
Yeah.
That's something.
And Emery's just like, fuck you, and walks away. So on the way down the hall, who does Emery run into but Hemlock?
Yeah.
Who's
always just slinking around somewhere. Yeah.
He was like, hey, you're going to have a new specimen today. I know you had a little incident down there in the vault, but don't worry about it. This specimen will not be an issue for you.
This one won't run away because it hasn't learned to walk yet.
Yes. Emery's like, okay, then I want to go get him myself. Hemlock is like, don't worry about it. We have people to do that. Emery's like, look, if these specimens are so important and they're my responsibility, let me fucking oversee them the whole time. And Hemlock gets a message, hey, Tarkin's on the phone for you. He's just like, fine.
Yeah, because you could
do whatever you want.
There's at some point during that conversation where Hemlock's like, I don't fucking care. I don't care if you go or not.
So Hemlock goes back to his office and picks up Tarkin's space call. Tarkin's like, so your facility there is taking up a huge amount of the budget, and now you're getting even more. Like, what's up with that? Hemlock is like, yes, we are getting a lot of money because it's classified. Fuck you.
I like how, by the way, you can tell Tarkin is a man that's used to knowing things.
Yeah.
And the fact that he doesn't know what this is bothering him.
Yeah. Tarkin's like, well, maybe I can help you because this is so important.
Maybe you should tell me a little bit about what you're doing there.
Hemlock is like, no, look, I just need this money. And trust me, it's worth it. The Emperor himself believes that it's going to be worth it. Like, you're going to love this. Tarkin's like,
my friend, my buddy, the Emperor.
Yeah,
we were talking the other day.
Tarkin's like, yeah, you better fucking hope this works out for you, and fucking hangs up. So Hemlock calls one of his clone operative shadow dark armor guys.
The operative. I think this is the same guy from the other episode.
Yes, it is. And he's like, okay, so fucking what's your status? The operative is like, okay, so I tracked down this Trandoshan, which is obviously Sid. And she told me about this pirate who's been in contact with Omega, and I'm chasing that lead down.
He mentions that she was kind of resistant at giving information at first, and like, did you kill her? Because I would have liked to see that.
I don't think Sid is very happy right now.
I'm glad.
Wherever she is.
Sid's a fucking traitor.
Yeah. So Hemlock is like, all right, cool. Except, you've already failed to catch Omega once, so you better not fail a second time. Like, don't come back without her. And Clone's like, yeah, okay, duh.
It'd be great to see fucking some episodes. They're walking past a bar.
Whatever happened to Sid?
Sid's head on a fucking...
Yeah.
It's not that kind of show.
No. So Emery takes this transport ship to a space station over Coruscant where she and a whole bunch of clones meet Cad Bane. Bane is like, well, you're not the one who usually comes to pick up these kids. And Emery's like, look, I'm just here to examine the specimen. It doesn't matter who I am.
Also, do you fucking care who picks the kid up? Here's your money. Shut up.
So Toto drags out the box with the kid in it, and Emery's like, it's a fucking toddler. And Bane is like, is there a problem here?
I like her. She's like, this is a baby. What the fuck are we doing here?
I think we're the baddies. Yeah. So Clone Commander's like, great. The kid can't even fucking walk yet. There'll be no problem. So Emery, tests the kid while Bane is like, where's my fucking money?
I really thought that she was going to do a... your scanner must have been not calibrated. Go give this kid back to his mom.
Nah.
Because everyone was distracted.
She's
and
not that radicalized.
Yeah,
yet.
that's true.
So she's like, by the way, Cad Bane, how many other kids have you captured? And Bane is like, look, I'm just really fucking good at my job.
I'll tell you how rich I am. And that should answer that question.
So Emery's test comes back positive. She's like, where'd this kid come from? And Bane's like, do you really want to know? Like, is that a question? Like, would it make you happy to know the answer to that question? And Bane was like,
he kind of gives her a little warning there. He's like, you just asking that question gives me some information about you, like you in general. So watch that.
So the money's all there, and Bane is like, pleasure doing business with you. And he pieces out.
Tips his floppy hat. He's like, I'm going to go buy 10 more of these motherfuckers.
So Emery comes back to Tantus with the little baby, who goes in the vault with the other kids and gets the same blood tests, which is really fucking creepy. So she asks her droid, how's the new specimen acclimating? The droid's like, he is in good health. It's
an infant. He has no idea where he is. He just shits himself all day.
He's doing great. Emery is like, by the way, where's Green Kid? The droid says, well, he is in solitary confinement for 2 days as punishment for trying to escape, in accordance with protocol. And Red Kid just does not trust Emery anymore. Emery is like, well, hey, you doing okay? You're being much less chipper than usual. And Eva's like, you fucking lied. Green Kid got in trouble. You said I could see him today, and he's fucking locked up. We all just want to go home, man.
Emery she should have been like, to be fair, I don't know what the fucking rules are. I really thought he was going to be fine.
So Emery puts the lights out for the night, and they all go to sleep and goes back to the centrifuge lab to test all the samples and do science shit. So she's...
Which, by the way, why do they keep retesting the blood?
I don't know.
Like, the science doesn't make a lot of... Because it's like, do you expect their blood to change between the last...
Maybe they're doing slightly different things to it every day. I don't know. So she's on her iPad, and she scrolls through, and she finds Omega's records on there. And she stops. She opens up this little cabinet and pulls out the doll that Omega made.
Her contraband.
Yeah. So when Red Kid wakes up the next morning, the doll is like right outside her cell, and she kind of like grabs it and...
This is kind of an open defiance, by the way, to the way things are supposed to work.
Emery watches all this, and then we cut to credits.
Yeah. Some real subdued music and shit. Yeah.
This whole episode was basically Emery gets radicalized.
Yeah, because she's gonna come in contact with Omega again, and she's gonna be like, yeah, let's burn this place to the ground. So
anyway, tell us more about why she's gonna come into contact with Omega.
Let's see what I can remember from memory. So Wanda Sykes is at the gas station.
Yep.
And she's like, I want some gas, and the guy's like, I don't fucking care. While this is happening,
so she fucking goes into the gas station to buy some chips.
While this is happening, they have like a lot of loud music and shit on. The clone assassin guy jumps on and sticks a USB in and like downloads her like search history or whatever, and then leaves. I did appreciate that Wanda Sykes for a moment gets a little danger thing and pulls out her like mini pirate cutlass and was like, who's getting cut?
Who's getting shanked today?
But he's gotten away. And it turns out he was able to break Wanda Sykes' encryption and figure out that she had just been at this planet in the outer rim. And so he calls home. The assassin calls home to
Scorch, I think is the guy.
Yeah. And is like, hey, I think I might have a lead on where everyone's going. And he's like, okay, well, get visual confirmation. Call us. We'll bring him back.
Bring the cavalry.
Remember how you fucked this up the last time? Yes. Don't do that again. Because we need her alive.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, the Bad Batch and Omega they're packing up to leave.
Yes.
I think because they're like, this won't end well for anyone. We're probably just going to leave. And there's a really nice scene where Omega's like, I think I want to deposit some things into Wanda Sykes' hall of treasures. And she dumps in her little stuffed animal thing and also text glasses, which I'm pretty sure they're telegraphing. Like there have been a few times this season where they're like, don't forget this fucking thing happened. Here are the glasses, right? And her friend, who I don't think we've seen much of.
She was in like a couple episodes in season 2, like when they brought Omega.
She like the mayor's daughter or something? Yeah. She's like, when are you coming back? She's like, oh, probably never. Sorry. It was fun.
Yeah.
And so assassin guy gets there and parks in the same cave that Asajj Ventress parked in. He's like, that looks like a pretty creepy cave. And
he's snooping around and
does some reconnaissance, and like he's like, there's Hunter and there's Omega. All right,
cool.
Calls back home. He's like, I found him. Fucking, I can see him right now. And she's like, all right, I'll send the boys.
The Star Destroyer full of stormtroopers.
Yeah. So like the assassin's like, okay, they're about to fly off planet. I'll blow their ship up.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Sure.
And so he uses the I guess the grenade or the bomb attachment on the sniper rifle, which by the way, I think Crosshair has the same getup.
Yeah.
So I know everyone's like, oh, this is tech, and it very well might be, right? I think it would be kind of cheap, it like really obvious. Mm-hmm. I think maybe he is a clone of all of them.
Maybe.
So like he can do the hunter stuff and the blah 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 blah. So he blows the ship up.
Yes.
And everyone's like, why are things exploding?
Well, importantly, Wrecker is still loading the ship.
Oh, yeah.
So when it blows up, he gets knocked into the water.
An interesting moment, since like we joke about how Wrecker is an 11-year-old. Mm-hmm. The dude knows bombs when he sees them.
Yes.
Because he looks over and sees one. And he's like, I know what that is. And then it blows up.
It's like his one area of expertise.
Yeah. And there for a second, you think Wrecker might be fucking dead.
Yeah.
They just lay in there, unresponsive. And Omega's like, I cannot lose anyone else. Fuck's sake. I think he's just sleepy. He's having a little bit of sleepy time.
Yeah.
And so Hunter's like, fucking, I don't know, you three teenage boys.
The teenage clones.
Yeah. From the other episode.
Fucking drag him up.
Pick his 400-pound ass up and go heal him somewhere.
Take him up to the mayor's house, have AZ look him over. And
so there's a great shot where like Hunter and Omega hear a ship jump in. Mm-hmm. And there's a great shot of Hunter like slowly turning and looking at being like, oh, fuck.
Like it's nighttime. There's a bunch of clouds, and the Star Destroyer is like shining its spotlights down. And
yeah, it's pretty. It's a Venator class, by the way. It's not one of the like the
Imperial class.
Yeah. And so the Empire is here. They start shooting all the skiffs on all the docks because like they're like,
we're not letting them get away.
Yeah.
Blow up all the ships. Yep. Blow up all the starships.
Unless you are an amazing fucking swimmer, you are going to be here.
You're trapped here.
And they do like a bit of cat and mouse. We're going to truncate a lot of this because we got to go soon. But
so Hunter is like, I'm going to go steal a ship. You and
yeah, he's like, I'm gonna get that gunship, and she's like, okay. And at some point, someone looks up and like there's a gunship like freaking out all over the place, and like someone's like, is that
like I can't shake him off? He's
yeah. And it was Omega who asked Crosshair, is like, is that Hunter? And he's like, yeah, it's obviously Hunter. Fucking assassin dude. To keep him from escaping,
pulls up his rifle rather than shooting Hunter, kills the pilot.
Yeah, he's like,
so that the gunship crashes into the ocean.
Yep. And so there's this whole thing throughout this theme with Omega of her guilt of things like this happening to people, and she and Crosshair have this talk, and she's like, new plan. I'm gonna let them catch me. And Crosshair's like, you fucking idiot. That's a terrible plan. And she's like, well, we wanted to go to Tantus anyway.
Yeah, like I'll have my communicator. You can track that. He's like, you fucking idiot. They're gonna search for that.
Like, have you never seen Cops? Like, they're obviously going to search you like the first thing. And she's like, okay, well, I got nothing. He's like, well, yeah.
You use your fucking sniper rifle thing to plant a tracker on.
He's like, I can't hit anything.
He can actually.
Yeah.
He meditated. He fixed it.
Well, I'm pretty sure he missed a lot of shots in this episode. I don't think the one meditation like completely cured him. So she's like, look, like, let me, this is the best plan we have. Like, we are not getting away from this. Yeah. There's no way we can escape. This is the best thing. And because like, they're going to kill you if they find all of us together. They're going to kill you and they're going to take me. So why don't we let them take me? You guys live and fucking come and get me. And while we're flying off, make sure you shoot it with a tracker. And he's like, okay, this is a terrible idea, but you go be you. And she's like, okay. So she fucking walks out and is like, hey, bitches, let's go. And like that assassin is like, what's the trick? Like, and like when he puts the handcuffs on her, he's like, ugh.
Also, that was very easy. Scan her for any tracking.
First thing they did, like search her, make sure she doesn't have anything on her.
It's like, hey, she's got her cell phone here. I'm like, I'll take that.
Yep. So they get her into the ship and goes to take off. Crosshair's like, here's my fucking moment. I hope nothing bad happens. Yep. Goes to shoot, gets attacked by a stormtrooper.
He's like, God damn.
He's like, well, hold on, let me whoop their asses real quick. And he does, because he's fucking, he's Crosshair.
And he aims again.
fires.
Shoots the tracker.
Big
The
arc.
ship immediately goes upwards.
Plops into the water. And it's like, well, shit. Yeah. And the episode ends with Omega on the ship with the assassin.
Mhm.
Like this also, does she think that the tracker's on there? Because so she's probably like, this is fine.
I think so.
Yeah. Which, by the way, that looks like a pretty fancy fucking ship. Maybe it would have had like a tracker scanner anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
So they're off to Tantus, and I can imagine when Hunter finds out that Crosshair let her do this, he's going to be very upset.
Yeah.
So brace for impact, because those guys are probably going to do a little bit of fighting.
Yep. 4 episoeds left.
Yeah, because I think the last one was like in the mid-season, right? Before today, I mean. Like last week's was the mid-season, I think.
Maybe?
Yeah, because they had Ventress. Probably the
maybe.
mid-season finale, yeah. Real quick, we asked for your comments on our Facebook page. Jimmy said, very good episodes, but I just can't believe after all that Omega finally escaped with Crosshair from Tantus, only to be recaptured. I can't believe Sid sold them out again. Well, of course she is. She's a bitch. Not Omega, Sid. That's Sid with a C, by the way, not an S. I absolutely... I predicted this just in the wrong spot, that when they came to rescue them at Tantus, she was gonna stay to make sure Crosshair could get away.
Mm-hmm.
She's practically doing the same thing, just in a different part of the show. Yeah. So it's remember, I mean, we're supposed to believe Omega's kind of the strategist, the chess player, right? So the thing is, she doesn't know, I don't think, that there isn't a tracker. So like, she's gonna find out, and she's gonna be like, okay, how do I send them a text while everyone's watching me? And she's gonna have to figure out how to do that.
Everyone's gonna be like, don't worry, girl, I got you.
Yeah, and she's gonna pull out her Samsung and be like, sent. Also, hopefully not Samsung, because they suck. Do you have a Samsung?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Joshua says, I'm thinking now that Project Necromancer isn't about creating Force-sensitive clones, or at least that's not all it is. I think it's about Palpatine finding a way to give himself the midi-chlorians of other Jedi, thus making himself more powerful. I'm not sure about that. I don't think he needs it.
Probably not. I mean, he does have unlimited power.
Like if someone came up to him and was like, Palpatine, I found some midi-chlorians. You wanted me to be like, I'm good. I got a lot.
Yeah.
I like that this also retroactively shows us why he's been after Force-sensitive kids since the Clone Wars. It's not about raising an army of Sith and breaking the rule of 2. It's about making himself stronger and potentially immortal. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He never wants to die.
Yep.
He wants to be able to just shit himself into a new body every 100 years and live eternally.
Yep.
Like that's
Palpatine's
goal.
end game.
All right. That's the end of our show. We're going to go play some manner of Star Wars video game. Hashtag justice for Sid. Justice.
No.
Not justice for Sid.
No.
Justice to Sid.
Fuck Sid.
Yeah. Remember, Sid's the whole reason we're in this predicament. We're going to go play some manner of Star Wars video game here in a minute. We'll be live again, so stick around. Keep your eye on either YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. And
basically wherever you're watching, just stay there.
Yeah, we'll be back in a few minutes. We look forward to talking to you. See you later.
Bye.